Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel Humanities Atta. And in this lecture, we will be revising your chapter theme, that is theme 11, Rebels and the Raj, the Revolt of 1857 and its representations. I am Amisha Gautam, and currently I'm pursuing masters in history, so you can rely on me and my explanations of this chapter. So let us begin fast and just glimpse. Let us take a glimpse of this chapter. I hope that you have read this chapter because I'm not going very deep into the chapter. We will just take an overview and just get the concept of this chapter. So you know that on 10th May 1857, the revolt broke out in Meerut. And first of all, you'll see that first of all, it began in the native infantry. That means in the native foot soldiers uh, lines, it broke out. And then in the cavalry line, the revolt was there. And then gradually it spread out to the surrounding villages, and the civilians, they joined the sepoys, and they then started destructing the government buildings and all that. And in after that, the sepoys, you will see that when they started the mutiny, they are they attacked the bell of arms, and they took all the arms and ammunitions which were there. And then they started attacking the property of the britishers. They started attacking government buildings, and the britishers, they killed britishers. So all the buildings associated with the britishers, with the English people, they were attacked. The government attacked, treasury attacked, and all the documents and all, they were also kind of destroyed, plundered. Telegraph line to Delhi was cut, and it was the significance before behind cutting of the telegraph line is that, so that the Meerut, the administration of the Meerut and the government officials in Meerut, they cannot communicate with the Delhi officials. And because Delhi was the kind of center, uh, and it was, if they communicated to Delhi, and kind of they brought they and then Delhi would have sent more sepoys, British sepoys in this region, Meerut region. So that is why a kind of this was the significance behind cutting of the telegraph line, so as to cut the communication. Even the bridges and all were destroyed. The roads, they were also destroyed, so that metal roads, they were destroyed, so that Britishers, they do not come into the areas where revolt was there. Now you will see that these sepoys, they will be moving towards Delhi, where you will have Bahadur Shah as the ruler, as a kind of nominal ruler of the Mughal dynasty. The last ruler, in fact, you will see on 11th May, they will be reaching there, and they will be stating their reason as to why they have revolted. And they will be saying that we have come from Meerut after killing all the Englishmen there, because they have asked us to buy bullets that were coated with the fat of cows and pigs with our teeth. This was the issue of the infield rifles. And I know this is the kind of triggering point, which kind of at which point the revolt broke out. Kind of it was the triggering point. It triggered the revolt, but there were many more causes because of which the grievances were there. Many grievances, political, then you have and the social grievances, religious grievances. But this event of the greased carted bullets, uh, because of that, the revolt break out, and it was kind of a trigger point for the revolt to happen. And then they talked about how it corrupted the faith of the Hindus and Muslims, because uh, cows, they are considered sacred for the Hindus, and pigs, they are like impure for the Muslims. So you will see another group of sepoys, they will be entering Delhi and from different region, and ordinary people, they will be joining in large numbers. And then again the same pattern will be repeated. Europeans will be killed, the rich of Delhi will be they will be attacked and looted. And then you will see that Delhi was clearly out of British control. So there was chaos everywhere in Delhi. Uh, Britishers, they cannot control Delhi, so they had to, leave Delhi. It was very chaotic. Now the sepoys, they were there, they were controlling. You will see some kind of administrative setup was also there in Delhi by the sepoys. They somehow kind of set up the government there, self government. And then you will see that the sepoys, they entered into Red Fort without showing any kind of etiquettes, manner and etiquettes in front of the Bahadur Shah. Where in the Mughals chapter, you will see that there were, kind of etiquettes and manners which were prescribed to be shown in front of the emperor when you are going in front of him. So you are somehow you are supposed to behave in a particular manner. But this time, the sepoys, they were very, kind of rude, and they just went in front of the Bahadur Shah, and they just said that we are here, and you have to support this revolt, you have to give blessing to this revolt. And he had no option, because he was surrounded by the sepoys, all in anger, and full of grievances. And it was not just the case of the greased cartridge, or you can say the bullet, that has caused this issue or this revolt. There were many more grievances in the army, which in fact these sepoys, they were, you can say, as Bipin Chandra says, they were peasants in uniform. These sepoys, they were peasants in uniform. So even the affairs which were affecting, which the grievances at the villages were kind of issues for them. So whatever was the issue at the village, or the issue of peasants, it was also the issue of, kind of, you can say, the sepoys. So considering all this, the Bahadur Shah, he was forced to give blessing, and after he blessed, the revolt acquired a kind of legitimacy. He had no option, so he had to do the blessing and all. He had to give, kind of his authority, and that yes, this revolt can be taken in his name. And then the revolt acquired a kind of legitimacy, because before, Britishers, who were the kind of the ruler of the you can say, which dynasty was ruling over most of the Indian subcontinent. It was the Mughal dynasty, obviously, and other dynasties, if you, or other small empires, you can say, they were under the Mughal dynasty. So yes, so 1857, the people, they were trying to get back to the old feudal system. They were not trying to reform something. They were just kind of trying to restore what they had before the coming of the East India Company, or before the establishment of the British Empire, you can say that. So here is a significance, you can say, that they acknowledged the Mughal Empire, the sepoys, and they wanted, they were like, at least the Mughals were better than the Britishers, because it was Mughals, it was their home. And for Britishers, Indian subcontinent was nothing but a colony from where they were taking the resources out for their own profit. But when you compare the Mughal dynasty with the East India Company, you know Mughals, they settled here, they made the Indian subcontinent their home, whatever their other policies and all other things were. Excluding that, if you consider it, so they kind of uh, improved the irrigation facilities, improved the lands and all that. So yes, now you will see that on 12th and 13th May, North India, it remained quiet. Once word spread that Delhi had fallen to the rebels and Bahadur Shah had blessed the rebellion, events moved swiftly, cantonment after cantonment in the Gangetic Valley and some to the west of Delhi rose in mutiny. So once, it was there that the Mughal king, Mughal, you know, emperor has given his blessing and he has blessed the rebellion, then you will see that the cantonment after cantonment, they were rising in revolt. And the events, they were moving swiftly. The revolt, it was moving swiftly and the pattern almost remained the same. Now talking about the pattern of the rebellion, we will see, if one were to place the dates of these mutinies in chronological order, it would appear that as the news of the mutiny in one town traveled to the next, the sepoys there took up arms. The sequence of events in every cantonment followed a similar pattern. So it was like kind of a very, kind of, you can say that as soon as the news arrived, so they were just very, they were no, they knew that this thing was happening, that the revolt was taking place, and they just wanted a news that, oh, that uh, beside, that the cantonment nearby, uh, our cantonment has, revolted. And as soon as the news reached their own cantonment, they also took up arms and they revolted. And you will see that the pattern, it remained the same, that they will revolt, they will attack the bell of arms, then they will start attacking the Europeans, destruction of buildings, then you will see that the plunders, and the plunders, you will see that it had another significance behind that. The whole theory of plunder is there. And then you can say that the killing of the Europeans was there. Even, uh, the European ladies and children, they were also not spared. So you will see that killing was there on both the sides. Even the Indians, they were also killed mercilessly, and vice versa. You will see that the Kanpur massacre was there, and there is a well in which the European ladies and children, they were all killed and then they were put in that well. So it is, there is a ghat, I guess. So it is there. So then the next topic is that how the mutinies began. 1857, it is a very interesting time period, and if one is to imagine, and one tries to go back into this period, it is like kind of very exciting period. So how it the mutiny began. So sepoys began their action with a signal. In many places, it was the firing of the evening gun or the signing of the bugle. The first seized the bell of arms. They first seized the bell of arms and plundered the treasury. They then attacked government buildings, the jail, treasury, telegraph office, record room, bungalows, burning all records. Everything and everybody connected with the white man because became a target. Proclamations in Hindi, Urdu, and Persian were put up in cities, calling upon the population, both Hindus and Muslims, to unite, rise, and exterminate the Firangis. Now, see here it is written that the sepoys, you will see that their action began with a signal. So it was kind of a signal was given in many places, like firing of the evening gun or sounding of a bugle. But it is not completely true. You can say it's just an kind of half truth, or it's not the fact. It is not actually factual because it there goes a theory in 1857 or debate in 18 in the revolt of 1857 that whether the revolt was planned or whether it was not. So that is up. that revolt is of a higher level, but sorry, that debate is of a higher level. But again, if it was planned, which to which many of the historians, they say that no, it was not planned, and no signs of planning are there, and these sharing of the chapatis and all that, they are nothing but kind of a rumor which was spread during that time. So even then, it giving kind of signals, it is like a kind of half truth here. But ultimately, in according to your NCRT, because it is part of the debate, we are going to accept it. We cannot deny it, because what is part of debate, we have to accept it. So you will see that it might have happened that sepoys, they must have began their action with a signal, and firing of evening gun, or the sounding of the bugle. And then you will see that the events, they were they were done on a similar pattern. The arms, bell of arms plundered, that they seized the bell of arms where the all the arms were kept. Then they will be plundering the treasury, attacking the government buildings, jails. They will be attacking, and they will be releasing all the prisoners, basically the Indian prisoners. And then treasury, telegraph office, record room से जितने भी records होंगे Indians related, lands related, they will be destroying all that records, bungalows, burning all records. So they used to do all this, and everything, and everybody connected with the white man became a target. So landlords those time, they associated हुआ करते थे with the Europeans, बड़े-बड़े landlords हुआ करते थे, or you can say the zamindars. So they also became a target, and money lenders, in fact. But not all the landlords, some of them were also, some of them participated in the revolt of 1857 with the Britishers, sorry, with the sepoys. But many of them, they who were associated with you can say the Britishers in before the 1857, they became a target. And then we will see that kind of significance again here is there, related to the proclamations, which were written in Hindi, Urdu, and Persian. And they were calling upon the population, both the Hindus and Muslims, to unite. So kind of a, you know it signifies that at that time the Hindu Muslim unity was there, and they were fighting together. No communalism was there on the Muslim Hindus and Muslims, they were not fighting amongst them. And this, when the Britishers saw that they are, the Hindus and Muslims, they are fighting together, they're against them. So they later on realized this, and they started using the divide and rule policy, and kind of which developed later on into the higher level of communalism, you can say that. So but even though some of the scholars, okay, they kind of say that no, this time it was not the Hindu and Muslim unity, it was not at so much peak and all that. There were some kind of instances for like some kind of strife was there, but it was not on such a big level that you can call it that the unity was not there. So when ordinary people began joining the revolt, the targets of attack widened. So now, until now, we were seeing that sepoys, they were attacking. So when we see the target of the sepoys, so it, kind of, it remained localized up to the British, or you can say EIC, uh, or you can say that the government buildings, the Europeans officials, and then the all things which were related to the government. So they attacked all those sorts of things like bell of arms, and they destructed all those things like the those things which were made by the Britishers. For instance, the roads and the like bridges, and then kind of you can say that this thing, telegraph lines, they were cut. But when you know the ordinary people, they participated, then the targets of attack, they kind of widened. Now in major towns like Lucknow, Kanpur and Bareilly, money lenders and the rich also became objects of rebel rob. Now rebels in these regions, they were also attacking the money lenders and the rich people. Peasants, because peasants not only saw them as oppressors but also as allies of the British. Because you will see that money lenders, they obviously in those times they oppressed the poor peasants, and the rich also, they also did the same. Because you must have seen in old movies, like how it used to happen, that they used to give them money and then used to oppress them. So it is kind of like used to happen, and in most places their houses were looted and destroyed. So this was a chance where peasants, they were taking a sort of revenge, because the targets, now they were all, kind of opportunities were there to take revenge and do all sorts of things. And they saw that these people, they are also the allies of Britishers, so we must take revenge, we must attack them. So उनके घर भी लूटे जाते हैं, डिस्ट्रॉय किया जाता है. So the mutiny, which the revolt, kind of, which started as a mutiny in the sepoy ranks, it quickly became a rebellion. So it changed its character. So you can see how, you can trace here, you have to, you can see that you have to analyze it, you can say that you have to analyze the process, and you have to analyze the change in character of the revolt itself. Because there is a change in the character, and this is, I think, one of the scholar has made this remark about the change in the general, the whole character of the, because when there is a debate about the nature of the revolt of 1857, as to whether it was a kind of, first war of independence, or a mere mutiny, or a kind of just a civil rebellion, what was the nature of the revolt. So there are many interpretations on that. But you will see that one of the scholars, he goes on to say, and I do not recall the name right now, but I have done, I have done the reading on that. So he goes on to say that you have to now trace the whole nature of this revolt according to NCERT, whatever is written here, and you can analyze that it started as a mere sepoy mutiny. It started in the sepoy lines, but now what you see with the ordinary people involved, it changed. There is a change in character, and it became a rebellion. So it may be may you know CBSE may not ask you a question like this, but if I teach you a crash course, which I obviously teach, I take the crash course of history class 12, but presently I'm not running any crash course. So I can give you a question like this, that trace, how can you say, or like, how did the, trace the change in the nature of the, trace the change in the nature of the revolt of whatsoever the question gets formed like that. Okay, a question can be formed on it, basically. So there was a general defiance of all kinds of authority and hierarchy. So everything which was related to British, now it was defied, and then authority, defiance of authority and hierarchy, it was there. In months of May and June, the British had no answer to the actions of the rebels. They were in very bad situation. Individual Britons tried to save their own lives. So they were basically running for their own lives and the lives of their families. British rule as one British officer noted, collapsed like a house made of cards. So it was the British rule at this time was on the verge of collapse exactly, and they might have gone, at that time only out of our out of our country, and the course would have been something different. Our country would have been something different right now. But yes, it did not happen, and it did not happen because of certain reasons which we may be discussing in this chapter if they are there. But okay, now we will discuss the next chapter, that the next topic, that is there, the lines of communication. Now the reason for the similarity in the pattern of the revolt in different places lay partly in its planning and coordination. Now here it is talking about planning and coordination. So we have to first see that whether there was a planning. Okay, and then we talk about coordination. Coordination is something which comes after planning. So the question is whether there was a planning or not. So it is clear that there was communication between the sepoy lines of various cantonments. So communication, yes, it can be there even without planning, because when once the revolt has started, and everyone knows that there is something big happening, so they can communicate, obviously, because if there are different cantonments side by side, or even at at some distance to each other, so they can communicate. So after the seventh hour, the irregular cavalry had refused to accept the new cartridges in early May. They wrote to the 48th native infantry that they had acted for the faith and awaited the 48th orders. Sepoys or their emissaries moved from one station to another. People were thus planning and talking about the rebellion. So yes, it may be possible that people, they might be talking, like we sometimes bitch about the government, and we sometimes kind of, sorry, I'm just like telling you that we sometimes discuss the grievances, and we sometimes talk. So this might be happening, that people, when they were moving from cantonment to cantonment, and this might be because this was issue of religion, and it is very important. Religion is very is important, and religion was very important at that time, because anything can be done in the name of religion. And the whole politics and history, and then you can say economy, all somehow revolves around the religion itself, if you notice it and if you try to link it. Anyways, it's a kind of very long way to link everything to religion. But yes, so people, they might be talking, they might be planning, they might be trying to coordinate. So this, there is a evidence, written evidence of coordination. So yes, we accept. And about the planning, because the sepoys, they were not the only one, that those who participated in the revolt. There were other leaders also. For instance, Rani Jhansi Ki Rani, and then we had the Nana Sahib, and then Begum Hazrat Mahal, and then others were there. So we have to consider them also. And then local people, you see that other people, those who are forgotten in this revolt. For instance, we have Uda Devi, and who was there with Begum Hazrat Mahal and Chalkari Bai, and then we have Azuzin Bai in from Lucknow. And then there are many Dalit leaders, or you can say the participants of in this revolt, whose names aren't even mentioned in history. So that is another thing. Let's move on. It's becoming more kind of out of NCRT thing. Let's talk about another thing, that now the pattern of the mutinies, and the pieces of the evidence that suggest some sort of planning and coordination raise certain crucial questions. So now here we have the critique also. Like they are questioning that was there a planning or not. So the pattern of the mutinies and the pieces of the evidence that suggest some sort of planning and coordination raise certain crucial questions. How were the plans made? Who were the planners? So if to plan something you need a leader, and to plan and execute something at the national level, even in, even you see that there are concept of nation or nationalism, whatnot. Nationalism was not there in 1857, or like that you can say that. Even then, to coordinate, because because the historians say so that there is a critique that 1857 it was not the concept of nationalism, it was not realized, or things like that. But even if the concept of nationalism was there, and but then who was the leader of it? Because we have seen that Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was not the one planning. So there must be one person or two-person or three-person or a group of people who must have come up with this plan, and who were coordinating with other people. So it is difficult on the basis of available documents to provide direct answers to such questions. But one incident provides clues as to how the mutinies came to be so organized. So there is a one, incident, and it provides as to how these mutinies they came to be so organized, and they were like, so the pattern of it was so kind of like similar pattern was followed. The captain hearsay of the Awadh military police had been given protection by his Indian subordinates during the mutiny. The 41st Native Infantry, which was stationed in the same place, insisted that since they had killed all their white officers, the military police should also kill Hearsay or deliver him as prisoner to the 41st. The military police refused to do either, and it was decided that matter would be settled by a panchayat composed of native officers drawn from each regiment. Charles Ball, who wrote one of the earliest history of the uprising, noted that panchayats were a highly occurrence in Kanpur sepoy lines. What this suggests is that some of the decisions were taken collectively, given the fact that sepoy lived in lines and shared a common lifestyle, that many of them came from the same caste. It is not difficult to imagine them sitting together to decide their own future. The sepoys were the makers of the old rebellion. So we can think of it like the sepoys, they were deciding for themselves. And in Kanpur, we can, if you take the example of Azizun Bai, about whom I'm talking, she was a courtesan, and the basically she was a dancer, and she then later on her position was degraded as the wife, which is like she was a courtesan, a dancer, and a singer, and you can say a very cultured woman. But then you see that the women in history, they are degraded, and they are not included. She was the one who provided her place, for these secret meetings, or to take place for the boys when the situations were very not conducive for these kinds of things to take place. So everyone has their own share in the revolt of 1857. Now, leaders and followers, let's do it. To fight the British, leadership and organization were required for these rebels, and sometimes turn to those who had been leaders before the British conquest. So, just a second. I think I will start the leaders and conquest. We can do in the next lecture. I have spoken enough in this one, and a lot has been covered. Uh, I just get into too depth of. I think I just get too deep and into the revolt of 1857 because it's a very interesting portion of the history. The debates are very interesting. The characters are very interesting. The whole setup is very interesting, and the event is in fact very interesting. So yes, I hope this much is clear, and then I'll meet you in the next lecture where I will be discussing about the leaders and the followers. So till then, you can watch this, and then till then, uh, keep studying. Do like, share, and subscribe our channel. Sorry, to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to our channel. And thank you so much for watching.